Miss Katie here. Today I'm going to show you how to make a little project out of Model Magic, which is a type of air dry clay. We're going to be making little toadstools, also known as mushrooms, which are a type of fungus that grow on trees, usually dead trees on the forest floor. So let's get started. I'll show you what supplies you're going to need. So for this project, you will need a clean surface or maybe even some wax paper if you have it to work on. You'll need your clay that you got in your box. Eventually you're going to need your little piece of wood that looks like a slice of a tree. You're going to need your moss eventually, some glue, and then you'll also maybe need some kind of little tool that you can press lines with. Maybe you could use your skewer, or if you have a toothpick at home, something like that that you'll be able to make lines with. And I also went ahead and grabbed the handout. This has a lot of pictures of mushrooms, and as you can see, they're all different shapes and sizes. So you can look at that and try to think about what is the shape of your mushroom going to be. For now, we know that we're going to need a cap and a stem. We have two colors here, but guess what? We can actually mix more colors out of these clays. So I'm going to open these up and maybe take a little bit and start mixing it and see what happens. I'm probably going to use 3 colors total, maybe more, we'll see, out of just these colors. My best advice to you guys is going to be, do not mix all of your clay together. Just mix a little bit at a time and see what types of shades of new colors you can get. So let's see what happens if I take this much yellow, with just a tiny drop of this coral. And let's see if we can get a slightly different yellow. Okay, so I found a nice medium kind of color in between. It's a little bit lighter though. So as you can see, I'm leaving these in the bag. I don't want them to get dried out, okay? So I'm gonna actually roll this into a ball and then set it aside because I'm gonna use that in a minute. For now, I'm going to build the cap and the stem. So, your cap could be the same size as your stem. You might have a very short little stem, who knows? So you can kind of decide, and also decide which color are you going to use for the cap and the stem. So I think I'm going to use this color for the top, the cap. So I'm going to pull out, let's see, let me roll this into a ball and see how much this is going to be. Looks like it's going to be about the size of maybe a big cherry, like a bigger cherry or a very smaller strawberry. And then, yeah, maybe I'll do a little bit more. So anything you build out of Model Magic or air dry clay, it's going to look a lot more finished and nicer if you can roll all of your pieces before you form them into perfectly round balls with no cracks. So go ahead and check it. I set this aside, and now I'm going to pull out enough for the stem. Roll that into a ball, and then kind of estimate here. This part. Okay, so now I have 3 different balls, 3 different colors. I may make this one bigger, I don't know quite yet. I'm gonna work on the cap first. So for the cap, what I'm gonna do, oh you guys, I should tell you this too. Try not to work on paper, because it can really stick to paper if you start pressing it. So try to use your table if it's nice and clean. It won't mess up your table, but it will stick to paper. So that's why I'm using wax paper. So I've rolled it into a perfectly round ball with no cracks. Now I'm going to gently press around and form my cap like so. Nice and flat on the bottom. I'm going to keep it flat on the bottom for now. And I'm going to start forming the top. Now, is the top going to be kind of a wide, roundy top, or is it going to be a pointy top? You can decide what shape you want it to be. Okay, once you have it starting to be somewhat the right shape you want it, you can kind of start finishing the edges a little bit nicer. Now, I wouldn't pinch out the edges too sharp. Okay, I wouldn't take it and pinch them very, very sharp like this. I'd keep them a little bit nice and a little bit a softer curve at the edge there. Okay, now this color here is actually going to be for the underside. Have you guys ever looked under a mushroom and there's all those like lines, that texture? We're going to try to create that with a second color. So now I'm going to look at this and decide, if I flatten this out like this, is this going to be too thick for the underside of mushroom? I think it is. So I'm going to actually take some of this out. I'm going to take about half of it out, and you can see about how much you have when you roll it out. Yeah, I think about this much will be good. So now what I want you to do is press it onto the table around and around in a circle, like this. Press, press, press. And I'm not pressing the very edges, like I didn't press the edges on my mushroom. I don't want to press down like that. I want to press it kind of towards the middle, keeping the edges a little bit wide, not sharp. And then once I have, you can flip it over a little bit too. Once I have about the right size, then I'm going to press it on to my mushroom. I'm going to press it like this, and then I'm going to flip it over so it's nice and flat here. I'm going to stick it on, but be sure that you're going to stick it on when you're ready, because once you stick it, it's stuck. Okay, there's my cap. Now, it's a little bit tall, but I think it'll be kind of cool. Next, I want you to take either your skewer and press around in lines like this, or take a toothpick. And the way you do that is you're going to make a little dot right in the middle, like that. And then take your toothpick and start it at that dot and press around and around and around. Okay. Now, for my stem, you've got that little part here. What we're going to do for our stem is we're going to roll it out a little bit. So I'm rolling it on the table. And now I want my stem to be tapered. Tapered. Smaller at the top, wider at the bottom. To do that, I'm going to kind of put more pressure on this side when I'm rolling it. If you do that on accident, say you roll it out like this, and it's like, oh my goodness, what have I done? It's all crazy. Look, it's all crazy. This will not support my mushroom. All you have to do is roll it back into a ball. Round ball with no cracks. Check it out. Is it pretty smooth? Oh, a little bit more rolling. And then try again. There we go. Now I'm going to stick it on. Okay, last part of the mushroom building, guys, is going to be to make all the little spots. To make your little spots, you're going to take off little bits of clay. Now, I could use this color, or maybe I want to make it a little bit of a different color. Maybe I want to make a color that's even slightly darker, so you can keep mixing your colors for different shades. I think I'll use a little bit of both of these colors. And if you'd like to make spots, you can make some spots. And you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say pinch it off and then roll it into a tiny ball. Roll it into a tiny ball. Before you press it down, don't just press it. Smash it a little bit first, like this with your finger, and then stick it on. Glue it down to our log, but we don't really want to glue it while it's drying per se. We kind of want it to dry out a little bit. So I think what we need to do is wait till the next day and then glue it down. So what you'll do when it's the next day is you'll put a little dot of glue after it's dried a little bit, glue it down like that. And then you can go ahead and put some moss on. Now the moss is a little bit messy, so you want to do this somewhere where you can clean it up easily, because it's very, look how it just kind of crumbles out of there. And the trick with this moss, guys, is to smash it on there. I'll show you. I'm going to actually just go ahead and glue on some moss. So I'm going to do some squiggles of glue like this, and then I'm going to take this moss and I'm going to really smush it down. So that's pretty much it. I think these are going to be really cute. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do.